very much, and happy St. Patrick's Day weekend to everybody. I wore the tie just for the occasion. Only weekend of the whole year I get to wear it, so I hope you like it. And welcome to Huckabee from the Fox News studios in New York City. My first trip to Israel occurred nearly 40 years ago, in July 1973, just a couple of months before the Yom Kippur War. I was just a teenager at the time. Now, I've been going back ever since. And when I visit Israel, I always purchase a Palestinian map, and I ask the people I take there to open the map and show me where Israel is. Israel is not on the map. Interesting, isn't it? Israelis are asked to make peace with a people who refuse to acknowledge their existence. Israel is condemned for its construction of a security wall, but until it was erected, it was common for terrorists to strap bombs to their bellies, board a bus, and kill innocent men, women, and children. With the construction of that wall, those acts of terror virtually stopped. So shall we be critical of those who wish to protect their families? Shall we condemn those who wish for peace in their neighborhoods, for their children to be able to play in a park, for their wives to visit a cafe or supermarket without the fear of being blown up by a terrorist? We would never tolerate in our cities what the people of Sderot have been asked to accept. I've seen thousands of Katyusha rockets stacked up behind the police station. Israelis fear every day that a Katyusha rocket might land on their children's bedroom, the park where they play, the schools they attend, the synagogues where they worship. How many rockets fired from Toronto into Buffalo do you think it would take before we would demand that our government stop it? 5,000? 3,000? 100? Nope. Just one Katyusha rocket is all it would take. Now, the Israelis have been asked just to let it go. Anybody who wonders why a safe haven for Jews is necessary, they ought to ask me, because I'll tell them what I've learned from my many visits to Israel and my experience this past January when my wife and I traveled to Auschwitz and Birkenau. I stood in the very place where 1.1 million Jews were murdered in cold blood. Chills came over me as I realized what happened there. And I prayed, may the world never, never forget what happened. When I visited the Gush Katif Museum in Jerusalem a couple of years ago, it was a brutal reminder of what happens when politicians make decisions that don't involve their brains. Now, when you demand that people abandon their homes because you somehow believe that you can trust radical Islamo-fascists to keep their word and make nice, it shows a level of naivete that makes Chamberlain look like Churchill. You can't negotiate with people who don't believe you have the right to exist. And our Secretary of State visited Egypt and handed over a check for $250 million at a time when we're ending White House tours. That doesn't make any sense. And why are we giving them F-16s and Abrams tanks to this country whose elected president is associated with a terrorist organization and who has publicly called Jews bloodsuckers and the descendants of apes and pigs? Now, the president will be going to Israel next week, and it is important that the American people give him a message rather than he give the Israelis a message. And that message is this: Mr. President, Americans stand with Israel because it is a mirror image of our own freedom and democracy. And before you demand the Israelis to give up land, ask the Palestinians to give up terrorism. In the meantime, tell the Israelis to build as much as they can, and tell the Palestinians that if they don't like it, then they can recognize the right of the Israelis to exist safely and securely within their God-given biblical boundaries. Now, that's probably never going to happen. So I say, pour the concrete, build the houses, and let Israel be strong.